These are the most expensive things in the world. How much would you pay for a new car, an engagement ring, or even a parking spot? Millionaires and billionaires can stretch the budget as far as their interests take them. Some are willing to pay insane amounts for the best or the most limited items. These are the most expensive things in the world. The first one is the Kraft Diamonds, that is a hallucination watch which worth rupees $55 million. Completed in 2014, the hallucination watch by London-based Kraft Diamonds took several thousand hours of work and 110 carats to create, reports according to the Money. A sculptural masterpiece, the platinum quartz watch is encrusted in yellow, pink, blue, grey and orange diamonds in different cuts.
We wanted to create, as we always do, something extraordinary. We've been collecting the coloured diamonds that are extraordinarily rare to put into this piece for about 2 years. There's about 110 carats of coloured diamonds in the piece, and over 50% of that weight is in stones between 2 and 3 carats. There's blues, pinks, green, orange. There's every colour under the rainbow, and that's why we've called it the hallucination. It's a collection of diamonds which happens to be put together as a watch, and it's very, very possible that someone will want to be able to buy the very best of the best, which that is. The diamond market is very, very firm. I think today, more than ever, there is a lack of great places that very wealthy people can put their money. And diamonds is, of course, a great tangible asset that you can actually hold in your hand. And we've seen tremendous appreciation in the value of diamonds.
The second one is the 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO that worth rupees $70 million. In 2018, a vintage Italian sports car broke a record when Chicago David McNeil, the founder CEO of WeatherTech, bought it for $70 million. As CNN explained, it's extremely rare for an owner to part with one of any price because only 39 were built by Ferrari between 1962 and 1964. At the time of McNeil's purchase, the auction chairman James Knight said, "The Ferrari 250 GTO is the motoring market's equivalent of Van Gogh's sunflowers, who is owned this legendary vehicle." second one goes to the bluefin tuna that worth rupees $3.5 million. Experts are worried about the future of tuna, officially a threatened species, but we are still not sure if single fish is worth a 3.1 million price tag dollars.
A Japanese restaurant owner has paid a record $3.1 million for a single Pacific bluefin tuna. The auction took place Friday at Tokyo's famed fish market. Rupert Wingfield-Hayes with our partners at BBC News has more.
Many traders were expecting a new record to be set at this year's opening tuna auction, and they were not disappointed. The price paid by Kiyoshi Kimura for his 278-kilo prize was far higher than his own previous record. Mr. Kimura is known as Japan's tuna king, and the price he pays at the annual New Year auctions bears only a vague relationship to the actual price of tuna. On a normal day, a similar-sized fish would sell for around £45,000. Today's record is in part about status, and it creates a lot of publicity for Mr. Kimura and his sushi empire. But it is also a reflection of the scarcity of large Pacific bluefin tuna. They are officially listed as an endangered species. Last year, catches off the coast of Japan were significantly down, and since the middle of last year, prices in Tokyo have climbed by more than 40%. Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, BBC News, in Tokyo.
Antilla ranked fourth among all these. It is situated in Mumbai and worth $22.3 billion. The richest man in India built this 400,000 square foot home in Mumbai in 2012. Business tycoon Mukesh Ambani, his wife and 3 children enjoy 27th floor of earthquake-proof luxury. Named after a mythical Atlantic island, Antilla has a 168-car garage, spa, temple, 2-story recreational center, 50-person theater, 3 helipads, garden terraces, bathroom and guest suites. Parking spot goes to the 5th rank among all these, and it worth rupees $1 million. Between 1978 and 2010, Manhattan lost 25,000 off-street public parking spaces. Reports apartmentality and developers can only include parking spots for about 20% of the new residences. A reliable parking spot has quickly become the new standard for the luxury in NYC. In 2015, a boutique Manhattan condo, 15 Renwick, sold 3 spaces for $1 million apiece.
As parking in major cities has become increasingly scarce, developers are charging record prices for spaces in luxury condos. Here in Manhattan, at least 2 new developments are asking $1 million for a single spot. That's more than 4 times the national median sale price for a home, which is about $218,000. So I don't want to tell too much out of school, but Olivia, you just bought a new pad.
Yep.
Here in Manhattan. Did you get a parking spot with it?
I did not get a parking spot. Maybe I should have tried to negotiate one because clearly it's a hot commodity. $1 million.
I can't imagine. I mean, we were talking in this morning's meeting, and Lexi, who put this piece together, said, you know what? Some of these condos cost like $47 million. But if I'm buying a $47 million condo, my driver takes care of the car and hopefully takes it home every night. You know, I don't need it to sit around.
That's an interesting point. You could probably pay a driver on salary to sit outside in the car and drive around looking for a parking spot, and whatever the gas price that costs.
I'll tell you what, I would personally drive someone around and sleep in the car for a whole year for $1 million.
I would do that too.
Yeah.
I would do that too. So if anybody out there needs a driver, you can call me.
Someone said maybe the spot is for the nanny, though, because the nanny maybe drives to work, you know.
They probably have room
herself,
for a nanny. We're speculating here.
Leonardo da Vinci Salvator Mundi. War by telephone. Carinsurance.com, that worth rupees $49.7 million. The tricky thing about domains, most people don't report sales publicly, and domain names come and go every day. To the tune of millions of dollars, however, many big sales which have been relieved over the years, including the carinsurance.com, explained GoDaddy, the domain sold for $49.7 million.
1. Carinsurance.com. This domain was sold in 2010 for $49.7 million and again belongs to Quinn Street, as the company uses a capital I for insurance when it writes the name. Not in the URL, of course. You can't help but read the name Carl. Carl doesn't quite scream $50 million. The site offers car insurance information pertaining to where you live, insurance based on age, and recommends the best insurance for your budget. We should add here that some reports say that Cars.com sold for a whopping $872,320,000 in 2015.
Neiman Marcus Limited Edition fighter that worth rupees $11 million ranked 8th among all these. Only 45 of the Neiman Marcus Limited Edition fighter motorcycles exist. With a carbon fiber frame and the titanium features, this bike can hit 190 million per hour. It's first sold for $110,000, not so pricey comparatively. However, enthusiasts love the unusual design in the body. The ladder carved from a single piece of metal, now highly sought after. It's our street legal sci-fi dream come to life, as Neiman Marcus first explained.
Some bikes are part of a scene. Others, like the P120 Fighter, are the scene. Cranking 160 horsepower from its 120 cubic inch radial twin, Confederate Motors' latest not only guns it and runs it, it blazes a distinct and stylized path in American motorcycling. This is the black flag version of the P120 Fighter, and clearly it doesn't look like anything else out there on the road. What's cool about Confederate from a design point of view is that they really challenge every single piece on the bike and think of, why does it even have to look the way it does? Why does it have to go where it does?
It takes 120 hours to assemble the 480 parts on the Fighter, and many of those parts aren't found in the usual places. The underslung dual exhaust puffs onto the rider's gear shifting foot. The oil tank is a canister just below the handlebars, with windows on either side that show the 2050 oil churning. The P-120 fighter has a hot rod-esque 63-inch wheelbase and a 240mm balloon for a back tire, but its rake and trail are well proportioned, so while it didn't exactly corner like a Ducati, it didn't send me into oncoming traffic either. There's a level of menace to the P-120 fighter. The transmission drive belt is exposed and could very well have chewed off my boot if the pegs weren't placed properly.
This seat looks like your butt could be stuck in a bear trap, but it's actually pretty comfortable. This is not a bike for the arthritic. The clutch is stiff.
Confederates' inspiration for the P-120 fighter was the outlaw motorcycle clubs of the 60s. Outlaw motorcycling being born from World War II fighter pilots, it follows that Confederate would look to aircraft for some of the P-120 fighter's inspiration, such as its riveted monocoque backbone, bulkhead, and fuselage side plate construction, which are all made from aircraft-grade aluminum. The squishy rubber buttons and silver toggle switches that operate the turn signals, horn, ignition, and high beams are more likely to be found in the cockpit of a Piper Cub than a motorcycle. Starting at $72,000, the P-120 fighter isn't cheap, nor is it common. Just 63 will be produced, making the P-120 fighter the perfect rebel yell for the rich. For the Los Angeles Times, I'm Susan Carpenter.
The ninth among all these comes the Wettelsbach Graf diamond that worth rupees $80 million. Found in India during the 17th century, the deep blue diamond was first owned by the Spain's King Philip IV and changed hands many times over the ages. In 2018, Christie's London auctioned the 35.36 carat diamond Graf Diamonds Lawrence Graf, born at $24 million. Unhappy with the stone, 25 flaws and numerous chips and scratches, a result of its multiple settings changes over the past 360 years, he recut into a 31.06 carat diamond.
If, as they say, diamonds are a girl's best friend, this diamond would be her very, very best friend, as in her BFF. I'm Ellen Futter, President of the American Museum of Natural History, and we are delighted to have you here today as we unveil a most stunning exhibit, the Wettelsbach Graf diamond, which will be on view here at the museum through January 2nd, 2001.
It's one of those diamonds that was brought to Europe probably by Jean-Baptiste Tavernier in the latter part of the 17th century after he'd made some voyages to India. So it's one of the great Indian stones of legend of the royal crowns of Europe. The French blue, which became the Hope, was one of these diamonds, and this diamond probably came soon after that. Basically, the first time it shows up is when Philip IV of Spain acquires gems for a dowry for his daughter, Margareta Teresa. In the case of a diamond like the Wettelsbach Graf, a boron in the crystal structure replacing carbon atoms. And what the replacement does is it makes the light, when it passes through the crystal, it interacts between the boron and carbon, and some energy is taken away in the form of red light. And so that means you see what's left, which is blue.
Hinton crystal piano that ranked among these at the 10th position, and it worth rupees $3.22 million. Before this piano was retired and sold at auction for $3.22 million, at Hinton Crystal entertained the world at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. It may look too beautiful to play, but now it makes sweet voice in the home of private owner.